Welcome to another edition of the Five Star Zone. This is your MSU instant reaction. Michigan State opens the season, and it was not the game that they thought that it was going to be. As a matter of fact, they win the game. They win it 16-10 over Florida Atlantic, but not how you thought this Jonathan Smith Michigan State Spartan team would come out. Not how you wanted to see this team play, especially after the debacle that was last season, everything that went on with Mel Tucker and just the season kind of collapsing in front of Spartan fans' eyes. MSU comes out and they do enough to win. They did not cover, and I think that's what bothers Spartan fans the most. A win is a win. I put it on social media. A win is a win is a win. You'll take it. You never apologize for a win, but you want to see a win the way you like it, especially as fans, especially if waiting 9 months to see what was going to happen. Underwhelming may be the easiest word that I can use for this Spartan victory. As I stated, 16-10. They scored all 16 points in the first half. They got shut out in the second half. Aiden Childs, did not perform the way that we thought he was going to perform. But then again, you got to remember, this kid is young. He's new. He's 18. The ceiling is still high. Not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Here's what I saw a lot in this game. And this is just me. And I'll do a deeper dive later on in the week. But right now, fresh off the game, the offensive line is not doing anybody any help, especially Aiden Childs. He just did not look comfortable back there in the pocket. There were a lot of throws that he missed. Now, I don't know if that was because he rushed the throws or if it was because the offensive line just didn't give him the protection that he needed. But as if you're a Spartan fan, you know that this is a common characteristic over the last few years. The offensive line has been bad. I mean, like horrifically bad. And I don't know if it's going to get better this season because think about it. If Jonathan Smith said that these are the best 5 guys that are going to start my season, these are the guys that he's seen all summer, all training camp, and chose these 5. Now, he did rotate some in. It was underwhelming. That's going to be the key word for today. Just very, very underwhelming. 3 turnovers. I mean, the first play of the game was a turnover. Now, I was there. I was looking on the sideline. It didn't look like that was actually an interception. I watched it on TV. It still didn't seem like it was an interception, but the referees said, and the Big Ten replay said it was an interception. So very first play of the game, very lackluster start for MSU. Quick turnaround, but here's some positive. The defense was as advertised. Even last year, the defense was good. It was just lost in the quagmire that was the MSU offense. But the defense stepped up. And the beauty of the defense this year, there's depth. There's depth in the rotation that you saw that, one player gets ejected out of the game. Spencer gets ejected out of the game. Michigan State moves on without a beat. And they were able just to rotate guys in there. They were able to get defensive pressure. Anytime you get 7 sacks and 11 tackles for losses, I don't care who you play. That's phenomenal defense. Yeah. Would you like to do that against a team like at Alabama or Georgia? Absolutely. But to get that many sacks, that many pressures, that many tackles for losses, yeah, that is a good thing for MSU. That was the one thing that I did like to see. I mean, as a matter of fact, the defense and Daquan Dowse got the first points for the Spartans as he got a safety. As Michigan State pinned, they punted the ball a lot because they didn't get a lot of third down conversions. They pinned Florida Atlantic and deep. They got the safety. They got the first points of the board. So, hey, if you had safety, if you bet safety for the first points of MSU's start, then, yeah, you had it. Referees blew a call. K'Ron Lynch-Adams had a touchdown. They blew the play dead. I didn't understand that at all. Said his former momentum had stopped. He breaks through. He scores a touchdown, but doesn't matter. Aiden Childs scores the very next player. A couple plays later, he scores MSU's first touchdown, the first touchdown as a Michigan State Spartan quarterback. It looked at that point like the things were going to start rolling for MSU, but it didn't. And, the passing was just off. It wasn't there. They did not have a good passing game. As a matter of fact, Childs finished with a game of, he was 10 for 24. He only completed 10 passes for 114 yards. Yeah, he overthrew a lot of receivers. The boy has a cannon, but he's got to learn touch. He's got to learn to be able to drop it in the bucket. He's got to learn the different speeds of his receivers to know which ones I have to lead and which ones I have to just kind of, throw it to where they are. He missed late in the fourth quarter. It was one throw particularly he missed Jack Velling, the tight end. It was a bootleg play. He rolls out, he stumbles a little bit, and he rushes the throw. And you kind of saw the nerves kick in for him. Now, in the post-game press conference, he walked in. He said, I own this. It's all on me. Put it all on me. That's great. That's what you want to see in a leader. But I would simply say, son, you're 18. You just had your first win. It wasn't pretty. Jonathan Smith came in a little bit later and put in perspective and said, hey, when I was a quarterback, I had 5 turnovers in my first game. It wasn't the game that we all thought Aiden Childs was going to have. But I would tell Aiden this, if I were to give him advice, if he were to listen, it's like starting a diet. You don't wake up the next morning and get angry because you haven't lost 50 pounds. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some development. This team is going to have to blossom and gel. Now, the Vegas odds has 4.5 wins. The way I saw that game, it looked bad. But let's just play a little what-if game. If you don't turn the ball over 3 times in the red zone, MSU fans walk away feeling great about this team. They really do. MSU fans will look and say, wow, this team went out there and scored, 37 points, and they won 37-10. And you'll feel a lot better about this team, but you didn't. You turned the ball over 3 times. A fumble, a bad, horrible interception that should have been a pick six, and a turnover on downs. And as far as the turnover on downs, that was all on Jonathan Smith. Kick the damn field goal, man. And he admitted in the post-game press conference, he got greedy. You kick the field goal late in the game. The game's not going how you want, but you got to be smart about it. Go up 2 scores. Jonathan Kim is more than capable of hitting that chip shot. I know it's 4th and 1. If you're not going to do the Philly shove, the brotherly shove like they do in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts, don't turn around and hand the ball off 6 and 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You got a big physical quarterback. Get under center, line up, push him forward, get the first down. It is that simple. You overthought that. You lose out on that opportunity. It takes the defense to have 2 defensive stands, and you had the benefit of the play that a lot of people didn't understand. How did Michigan State get the ball back with 2 penalties? Let me help you out if you're still wondering about this. Okay. When the Florida Atlantic quarterback, Mr. Helmet Fall Off guy, Fancher, slides. The second he slides, he gives himself up for the play. When he slid, he was short of the first down. That means Michigan State's ball. Now, there was a personal foul penalty, but the play was dead. It was over. And then you consequently had number 7 get into an argument with the referees for an unsportsmanlike penalty. There it is. That's your 30 yards of penalty. Now, they said it was Jordan Turner was targeting. They didn't say it wasn't targeting, but it was a personal foul. That's why Michigan State got the ball back. But they didn't start where they should have. They had it 30 yards back, but they couldn't move the ball. And in the second half, it was quite honest that the passing game just was not there. The run game was there, but it was K'Ron Lynch-Adams. It was not Nate Carter, who was really the ball carrier. Adams on 9 carries had over 100 yards. A lot of that came on that one big run that he had for a touchdown. Carter just couldn't get things going the entire game. He carried the ball 19 times for, I think, 19 times 40. I was about to say 68 yards. 48 yards, averaging 2.5 yards a carry. That is not going to get it done. And like I said, if it wasn't for Lynch-Adams' 63-yard run, the running game was very bad, mediocre, pedestrian. Call it what you want it. The offensive line has to be able to make some moves. Now, if the offensive line is going to play like this, then I think Lynch-Adams may be your main guy. And even though Nate Carter is your captain, I don't know if he's going to be the back that really can flourish in this offense. Because if you cannot run the ball, then the play action and a lot of things that they want to do with Aiden Childs Let's face it, it will not happen. But as I said, you can't turn the ball over 3 times. And God knows you cannot have as many penalties as Michigan State had. It was ridiculous to see the amount of personal foul penalties. You can't win any games like that. Now, fortunately, you played a lesser opponent and you got away with it. But it was many times on third down, you gave them first down. Matter of fact, on their scoring drive, where they scored their only touchdown, they were supposed to get off the field and maybe kick a field goal. And instead, you gave them an automatic first down. Why? Because of a face mask penalty. Too many personal fouls, too many dumb penalties. This team is not good enough to overcome 12 penalties for, I think, like 140 some yards. You're not that good. You have to play smarter. I asked Jonathan Smith the question, and he said he likes the aggressiveness, but his team has to play smarter. And that's what you have to do, because other than that, I don't see how you're going to go into Maryland this week. You're already an underdog. Team's not looking well. Your quarterback looks like a rookie quarterback, a freshman quarterback out there playing on his first start. They always say the biggest improvement is from week 1 to week 2. We'll see if that happens. But as of now, you're going to rely on that defense a lot. And I mean, a lot. The defensive line really stepped up. Bogle had some big plays in the game. The transfer, Anthony Jones from Indiana, he stepped up. He had some big plays, especially late in the game, to seal the game. As I said, Doss had the safety, but he did have a boneheaded play where he had the 15 yards. The linebacking core was there. Solid game all around from the defense. Dylan Tatum was on crutches at the end of the game. Talked to him. He was hoping that it wouldn't be something serious and that he could be back in a few games. So that's something we have to monitor. But overall, the defense had to carry this team. The defense had to step up multiple times. I said, when you get 7 sacks and 11 tackles for losses, always a good game for the defense. The offense, lackluster. It was a win. It was underwhelming. And it just appeared like they were underachieving. The run game, aside from the 63-yard run, was non-existent. The passing game, you can't complete 10 passes in the game. The receiving core, I don't know. You and the quarterback have to get on pace. And real quick, did Nick Marsh die? Like, what happened to him? I really expected a breakout game from Nick Marsh. Did not get that. He caught one pass early, and it seems like he was on the bench. I thought maybe he was injured. He just wasn't in the game. But instead, Montori Foster was in there, and really, I don't like to criticize college kids, but heck, they're getting paid now, so I guess you can. It was like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. All 3 turnovers, he was a character in all of the turnovers. Juggling the ball on the first play of the game led to the interception. He fumbled the ball down in the red zone for the fumble that Michigan State had. And I don't know if it was him or Aiden Childs didn't connect on that pass when they were knocking on the door, but it ended up being a pick and it ended up getting taken back 60 yards the other way. Not saying it was all his fault. I'm just saying that he was at the crux of all 3 turnovers. You may want to reshuffle that wide receiver room and try to come up with your best guys. Glover was not able to get separation in the game. That's not helping a young quarterback out whatsoever. Everything seemed forced. Everything seemed just so complicated. You really didn't see any guys opening up where they were just wide open, that he was just able to play pitch and catch throughout the game. I'm going to say that maybe the offensive coordinator needs to come up with some better plays, some better schemes to help out your young quarterback, because throwing the ball, you could see Childs later on as the game progressed just started forcing throws. I expect that from a guy in his first start. He wanted to lead this team on to victory, and I don't know if it was just the offensive line, it was the play calling, it was the receiver, it was the quarterback, it was the running back. The total offense as a whole, man, not a good grade that I would give them. You're probably looking at about a D- grade. You did just enough to win the game, but in the second half, you cannot get shut out by Florida Atlantic. That's not Georgia. That's Florida Atlantic. That's not even Florida, who got their doors blown off by Miami. That's just Florida Atlantic. So they got a lot of work to do in the next game. Next game is going to come up against Maryland. They're traveling to play the Turtles. I think as of now, while I'm recording this, they are an 8.5 point underdog going into that game, which was funny because I was talking to a Vegas insider shortly after the game, and it was after the Maryland game, and I said I think that Michigan State's going to be a 9.5 point underdog, close, 8.5 point underdog. A lot for Jonathan Smith to work on this week, but right now Michigan State gets a win. Very underwhelming, very not unsatisfying. Maybe that's the better word, unsatisfying for a lot of Spartan fans because you expected more, you expected better. You thought the hype was there with Aiden Childs, and what you saw was a freshman quarterback. I'm not saying that he's going to be a bust because I don't think he is. I think he's actually going to be very good. You got to be careful, though, with the hype because sometimes it can, the hype may not live up to your expectations. Give him some time. If they're still playing this same way after the 4-game stretch against Boston College, that's when the worry should kick in. But for right now, let's see the improvements that they make from week 1 to week 2. All right, that's your Spartan Instant React. Thanks for watching the 5-Star Zone. I'm Rico Beer. Keep liking and subscribing and telling your friends. I'll be back very soon recapping the rest of the Big Ten.